You know, I've never been more convinced that in the future, people like Philip K. Dick, Aldous Huxley, George Orwell, Anthony Burgess will be considered prophets by history, because it's clear that we're moving into a world that looks more like dystopian fiction than the normalcy, so-called normalcy, that came before. In this show, I'm going to explore dystopian trends, and we're going to take a look at some of the most dystopian things that are actually happening in the real world, and talk a bit about their cultural, philosophical, psychological implications for people and for the future. AI agents drive 4,000 job cuts in Salesforce support division. CEO Mark Benioff revealed on a recent podcast that the company Salesforce has used AI agents to replace around 4,000 customer support division employees. So we already know that most of these job losses are coming from the working class and maybe the lower middle class to some extent. And this is just the beginning. And you know, there could be good or bad consequences. People like to say, people who are pro-AI, let's say, they like to claim that just like every advance in technology, there'll be some growing pain, there'll be some difficulty, but ultimately everyone will end up better off, and so forth and so on. And it's a little difficult sometimes to argue with that, but I think there is staying within that framework, there's a good point to be made that, yes, the Industrial Revolution, we're all better off today because of the Industrial Revolution. However, it's worth noting that the Industrial Revolution caused World War I and II. And it caused many economic problems, many issues with... This is the era out of which Marx came, you know. Communism and to an extent fascism as well. You know, these are industrial ideologies. And what kind of AI-based radical ideologies could the future throw into the discourse? So he says he just needs less heads. I don't need as many people in my company. Maybe some of these people are going to go and start companies, and there'll just be more companies doing more work, and everyone will have a job, but there'll just be, you know, everyone who does have a job will have like a greater responsibility, and they'll earn more money, and, you know, okay. I think that could take a long time. It took us so long to get used to industrialization. The fact that no one's doing anything about this, frankly, I was kind of shocked that the Labour Party, the left-wing party of the UK, said nothing about trying to guarantee that the working class would have a good time despite AI. That was really shocking to me. It made me think like we're living in this paradigm of the past, you know. And whilst they claim to be taking us to the future, the politicians, I'm not letting off any party, and I'm not just going after Labour, but I was particularly surprised that, you know, the party that's supposed to represent the labourers, the workers, hadn't even realised that this giant threat was already at our door. They say we're going to the future, but I don't think they're even thinking about the future past, you know, past the next election. So there's an agentic layer to this company. Yeah, let's talk a bit about what the AI is actually doing. I think that's in this one. Here we go. We have an agentic Salesforce, that's AI agents, AI that does things for you, which is calling back every person that contacts us. Oh, so if not having a job wasn't nice enough, you can also look forward to being harassed by all the companies that you ever contact, because there's just a pressure for more companies to use AI, and because these are the big companies that can afford AI at scale like this, or maybe they're in a data center, maybe they don't. they might rent. They might use another company's AI. Small businesses are not going to be able to compete. So if you or I want to start a business that's doing sales, we are forced because of economics. Economics is really important, even for artists, even for creative people, for everybody. Economics is really interesting as well. But we can just see here that economically this is clearly going to benefit quite a small number of people. And that's not even getting into. So let's look at this article. We are teaching the machine to take our job. Yes, it's this for me leads me to think about the psychological aspect, where people have always been useful. It's always been good that there are people and people available to work, and it's useful to you can offer yourself usefully to work. But are we approaching a world where people have no use to the economy? Because that is a psychological shift that I'm not sure has ever happened in the history of humanity. Maybe a little bit with the Industrial Revolution, but we've seen how crazy people have become, especially on the more fascist side. Like, it's not some kind of simple thing. There's going to be some moment where each of us realizes that we're just not even that useful. And for a lot of people, that's where they draw their meaning in life from, Losing that is going to be a psychological blow to everyone, I think, to the culture. And we quite possibly will see people really go crazy after that. This could be just the beginning, definitely. Yes. So, that's the economic side. British police arrest more than 400 protesters at London Palestine Action support rally. 400 people were arrested at the London demonstration on Saturday. These were people who were supporting the proscribed Palestine Action group. Proscribed. The government banned the group under terror laws. What that should say is, the government proscribed this group as a terrorist organisation in July after activists broke into an airbase to protest against British policy. So, the British government is supporting both sides, as far as I can tell. It's crazy. It's crazy. I can't. There seems to be a cultural attitude, which is that Israel is bad and Palestine is good. I'm simplifying. and there is an economic political reality, which is that Britain is arming Israel and helping Israel. Are these people terrorists? This is what's really dystopian. It's that we now have... So, okay, you're going to have less economic freedom in the future. You're likely to be getting universal basic income, some kind of money that the government gives to everybody in some way. And to an extent, it is going to be more difficult to be an activist, because we see both on the left and on the right that people are being declared terrorists. Look, this person who was arrested is 74 years old. 74 years old. These are like, I'm sorry, these are kind of, these are like boomer millionaires. These are like middle class people, many of them. It's shocking that we would think of them as terrorists. I guess terrorism is like pornography, in that you know it when you see it, but it's a little hard to define. Damaging a jet. Okay. They did an act of vandalism at a Royal Air Force base, which caused an estimated £7 million of damages, $10 million. They damaged a plane. Therefore, this 74-year-old woman who's protesting peacefully outside Parliament is a terrorist. This is just not logically consistent. This is like legalism, and I like that word because it has a particular historical meaning, and it also makes me think of the fact that our Prime Minister is a lawyer. And very much, we have a government that is focused on the letter of the law much more than the spirit of the law. They're not so interested in really why the law was brought in. They're more interested in using the law as some kind of a weapon. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but I will. We have Tommy Robinson, who's a right-wing figure. I'm presuming that London Palestine Action is a left-wing organisation, and if we think about the right wing, Tommy Robinson was arrested without the opportunity to go in front of a judge under terrorism laws, and kept in custody, and he had no right to remain silent and all these things. And we just have to think, like, we have to be very careful, because this will only expand until anyone who's against something that the government is doing can be called a terrorist. This might not seem very sci-fi, but what we're seeing here really is a sort of nascent form of mind control, and that is quite sci-fi. We're seeing a kind of brainwashing. I just want to talk about one more thing today, and that is Grok Imagine. Now, this is a bit more on the sci-fi side. I think that one of the goals of VR, virtual reality, the main goal perhaps, the sort of philosopher's stone goal, is to be able to manifest, to conjure an experienced reality, a reality that you really experience instantaneously from the imagination with some kind of super high data rate. And I think that Grok Imagine it's sort of wonderful, it's sort of horrifying, a lot of the dystopia is like this. Let's say, I don't know, an eye pixelated on a screen, Orwellian / plastic spires style. Here we go. This is insane. 1, we have instant results, no waiting. And 2, look, I'm just scrolling. More. And yeah, this goes on forever, ad infinitum. Oh, some of those are really nice, actually. You see, you just get more variations. How much computing power is this requiring? This is magic. I'm sorry. This is magic. This is exactly the kind of thing that people used to talk about when they talked about magic. And some of these are tremendous. Some of them are great. Some of them are shit. There's a full spectrum of possibilities with the imagination. But do you know what I mean? It's deadening. It's like deadening. It's like there's so many options. How are you supposed to find the right option? How are you supposed to feel like you've made the best choice? It's impossible, because there's an infinite amount of other possibilities. How can you possibly choose? How can you possibly feel that you've made that decision correctly, or you've made the best possible choice? It's not possible. And so one day, VR, this is the beginning of something, as well as the culmination of everything that came before. But what we're moving to, I think, imagine this in VR. And then imagine this in VR with like a brain chip that gives you any body sensation that the VR world is supposed to generate in you. Now, I don't know if AI will be programming future software. It's quite possible. But if people are programming it, they are literally going to be programming in some kind of language that actually is mutually intelligible with the human body's nervous system. I guess they're already doing that in what's the name of Musk's company? Neuralink. Yeah, this could be both wonderful and horrifying, and it's kind of everything all at once. It's already those things. But I don't know what the effect will be. Of in the future. We don't have jobs. We don't have much of an ability to challenge the power structures. And we can have any sensation we want. Well, I'm sorry, but that's Aldous Huxley now. That is Dystopia Now.